Welcome to this presentation on Postgraduate Fellowship. This is part of an educational initiative called Neurosurgery 100 through the Congress of Neurological Surgeons. The purpose of this video is to review postgraduate fellowships in neurosurgery. That includes why pursue a fellowship, how to pursue a fellowship, who offers the accreditation on the fellowship, and what additional advantages a fellowship can offer from a clinical and research perspective. First and foremost, why perform a fellowship? After a long neurological surgery residency, it's hard to imagine why you'd want to spend more time training, but there are multiple advantages to it. One is to develop a proficiency in a subspecialty that one wants to develop some additional mastery in, and to begin to focus their career early on it. Secondly, mentorship, and to work with supervision and a supervisor and a mentor that truly cares for you and develops your skill set and really pursues your own personal interests and what you care about in the field of neurosurgery and helps you grow. And academics, allowing one to have an opportunity to be an assistant professor and to work in the field of academics, along with pushing one's research forward by allowing you to have a stepping stone to national and federal funding in your fellowship to pursue larger grant funding in the future. This is not an exhaustive list, but these are some of the major reasons why people pursue fellowships. So what kind of fellowships exist? This is not an exhaustive list either, but here's a quick overview. Endovascular surgical neuroradiology, which is mostly endovascular neurosurgery, functional neurosurgery, pediatric neurosurgery, cerebrovascular, open and endovascular, of course, spine, which could include complex deformity or a focus on minimally invasive surgery, or a general spine fellowship. There are skull-based fellowships, neuro-oncology focused fellowships, epilepsy focus as a subdivision of functional as well, and radiosurgery. The accrediting body that focuses on neurological surgery fellowships the most is the Committee on Advanced Subspecialty Training, or CAST accreditation. This is administered through the Society of Neurological Surgeons. CAST program accreditation history as of January 2021, as you can see here, there are many fellowships that exist. There are endovascular, cerebrovascular, neurocritical care, which was not mentioned on the previous list, neurosurgical oncology, peripheral nerve, pediatric neurosurgery, stereotactic functional, spine, skull-based, and a new subspecialty of neurotrauma as of 2022. As an important side note to CAS subspecialty training and accreditation, there is a new, as of 2019, concept described as recognition of focused practice, or RFP, and this is administered and accredited through the American Board of Neurological Surgeons, and one can convert their CAS fellowship training from 2019 or before to an RFP for pediatric neurosurgery, neurocritical care, or endovascular surgery, and this essentially offers accreditation through the American Board of Neurological Surgeons. Neurosurgeons also qualify for plastic surgery fellowships, and these are some of the more unique fellowships that exist. Just to have one begin to think outside the box a little bit, there are also specialized fellowships that exist only at one institution. For example, neuroplastic surgery only exists at Johns Hopkins, and depending on one's creativity and their interests, you can basically find any kind of fellowship you want for your particular interests. This is just an example of how niche and unique they can get. In addition, there are other specialties that will allow neurosurgeons to enter their domain and work into their fellowships. An example of this is the orthopedics realm. They have the AO Spine accredited fellowships that are global fellowships across the world that allow for training in spine, deformity spine, general spine, or minimally invasive. And these are also available to neurosurgeons as well as part of a combined neurosurgery orthopedic training program, or orthopedics alone, and are excellent opportunities that also exist outside of the traditional CAST accreditation fellowships. There are also a set of fellowships that exist under a match system. This is the SF match or San Francisco match, which was actually responsible for the neurosurgery residency match almost about 20 years ago now, and still has some anachronisms, some fellowships that are still part of the match system here. These include plastic surgery, which is possible for a neurosurgeon to enter, craniofacial surgery, movement disorders, neurocritical care, neuro-oncology, neuro-ontology, and some of the orthopedics AO spine fellowships are actually through the fellowship match as well here, through SF match. And pediatric neurosurgery, of course, is through the SF match. So again, there are many ways to enter a fellowship. One of them is to directly communicate with a mentor. Another is to discuss through a CAST accredited fellowship. Another is through matching, through the San Francisco match, and also through other specialties such as orthopedics. If you're training in a neurosurgery residency and you finished abroad and you want to do some training in the United States and funding becomes an issue, the American Association of Neurological Surgeons, the ANS, has a philanthropic arm called the Neurosurgery Research and Education Foundation that will actually sponsor your clinical fellowship here in the United States. This is a collaboration between the ANS and CNS sections that allow for NREF awards to be issued to programs that meet the eligibility criteria for a post-residency clinical fellowship, and they can fund up to $75,000. And it could be lesser depending on available support, but this is an excellent way to get post-residency training in the United States if you're a foreign graduate of a neurological surgery residency. This can also help with programs inside the United States for nascent fellowships that are unique, or one has a particular interest in going to a specific location for family or for additional training. You can apply for an NREF funding of your post-residency clinical fellowship. So another excellent opportunity. On the other hand, if you are an American graduate and you want to travel abroad and study, an excellent opportunity through the AANS also includes the William P. Van Wagner Fellowship. This fellowship was established by the estate of Dr. Van Wagner, who was trained by Harvey Cushing directly. Dr. Van Wagner had studied in Europe and broadened his knowledge of neurosurgery there. This was done under the recommendation of Dr. Harvey Cushing, who had experience in neurosurgery in Europe due to the World War, and inspired Dr. Van Wagner for foreign travel for his training. In return, Dr. Van Wagner offers fellows $120,000 as a stipend for living and travel expenses to a foreign country for 12 months. Family travel and living allowances are allowed. Research support for university hospital laboratory spending is also there for sponsoring the fellow, and including also some sponsoring for medical insurance as well. So this is a very prestigious and very unique fellowship that exists. Again, these are all examples of just the sky's the limit, essentially. Once you've completed your neurosurgery residency, to begin to hone your career early on and give yourself a stepping stone through fellowship. Of course, the other things that in the domain of fellowship that's critical is research, and some of the awards through the National Institute of Health and the NIH that we as neurosurgery fellows have access to include the R21, which is an Exploratory Developmental Research Grant Award, which could be cover direct costs for 2 years for up to $275,000. A series of the Career Development Awards, K grants, including the K08 and K12 awards, which are funding for intense mentorship, essentially, to facilitate one's career into becoming an independent principal investigator after a period of mentorship and career development. An F32 award, which is a postdoctoral fellowship, which will allow for a more targeted research study and research approach as part of what awards are posted on the NIH website. And an R25 award is also eligible for neurosurgery fellows, and these are accomplished to state a singular goal that's highly integrated with educational activities that allow for someone to develop as an educator, as a researcher, and as a clinician as well. So, and these are typically administered through mentorship as well. So many opportunities for promoting research and to perform research and get you to that next level of becoming a principal investigator and hopefully applying for an independent research project in the future through an R01 grant. So with that, I'd like to conclude this video on Postgraduate Fellowship. Thank you for watching, and we give thanks to the Congress of Neurological Surgeons for putting together this excellent series of Neurosurgery 100. Thank you.